So, what's up with Felix Mendelssohn, and why does his music seem to be everywhere?
Spring?
Are you hurt? The stare.
From cartoons and movies to Christmas carols to wedding marches. His music is baked into the soundtrack of our lives. Even if you've never heard his name, chances are you've heard him. But here's the twist. What if I told you that you've probably never heard some of his most astonishing music, and that it was written when he was just 13? Before his first published works, the String Octet and Midsummer Night's Dream, the 12 to 14-year-old Felix wrote a series of string symphonies paying tribute to Mozart and Haydn that didn't resurface until 1950, over 100 years after he died. These stand on their own as remarkable compositions, but when you realize that they were written by someone so young, well, it just blows your mind. So stick around to listen to the works that reveal the origin story of what made Felix Felix, and why his later music went viral. My name's David. I'm a classically trained musician with, full disclosure, a very Mendelssohn-heavy upbringing, who just can't quit music. Okay, I hear a few of you groaning out there. Oh, why are you talking about him? For the blissfully unaware, Mendelssohn is a bit of a litmus test for classical nerds. Of the infinite nodes on the Mendelssohn Spectrum, there are a few clusters that spring to mind. Casual listeners, they love him, no questions asked. Players, string players and pianists especially love playing his music, but listening not so much. And of course, there are the haters. Of these, I'm going to skip over Richard Wagner, classical music's favorite asshole, and the Nazis who were the early haters, and for the worst reason imaginable. Google it. I'm talking more about classical nerds who just don't like his music. Maybe they liked it at some point, but now, they're over it. They say he's saccharine, superficial, the tritest of the trite. He was the Mary Poppins of classical music.
Practically perfect in every way.
His iconoclast peer, Hector Berlioz, Mendelssohn's polar opposite if there ever was one, famously accused him of being too fond of the music of the dead. And you know, he's not wrong there. Young Mendelssohn was a classicist through and through. Less an innovator, more a refiner, obsessed with his musical ancestors, Mozart, Haydn, but most of all, Bach. In 1829, at just 20 years old, he single-handedly resurrected Bach's music from near oblivion with a Berlin performance of the St. Matthew Passion. That moment sparked a full-on Bach revival, one that we're still riding today. All the encyclopedic Bach recording projects that we know and love, the more than 150 well-tempered clavier recordings, John Eliot Gardiner's Bach Cantata Pilgrimage, the Netherlands Bach Society's phenomenal All of Bach YouTube channel, all are merely a continuation of Mendelssohn's Bach obsession. So, wherever you land on the Mendelssohn spectrum, his historical importance is undeniable. So, what happens when a child prodigy grows up in the shadow of another, from 50 years earlier? Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, yes, that Goethe, lived long enough to have met both Mozart and Mendelssohn as boys. After encountering young Felix for the first time, he told his teacher, Karl Zelter, "What your pupil already accomplishes bears the same relation to the Mozart of that age that the cultivated speech of an adult bears to the prattle of a child." Whoa, sick burn. Felix wasn't trying to outshine Mozart. He was paying homage. His early string symphonies, inspired explicitly by Mozart and Haydn, are a nod to the past, but from a new vantage point and with more arrows in the quiver. Mendelssohn knew that he was standing on their shoulders. So when you listen side by side to Mozart and Mendelssohn's teenage works, what you're really hearing isn't just the difference between two prodigies, you're hearing how music itself evolved in the 50 years between them. Age is merely the equalizer. Take Mozart's Symphony No. 10, written when he was 14, and Mendelssohn's String Symphony No. 2, written when he was 12. Both are bursting with youthful energy, neither are breaking new ground, but Mendelssohn, he's clearly starting from a more advanced place, that signature craftsmanship already there. More moving parts, more fluid transitions, master of counterpoint at 12 years old. But the slow movements are where it really shows. Here's Mozart's. Classical, a lovely minuet-like movement, bright, elegant, full of promise. But then Mendelssohn's slow movement hits, and it's just something completely different. Melancholy, spacious, human. You don't just hear a bright young composer. You hear a soul at 12 years old. One of the many things Mozart was a master of, and something that Mendelssohn inherited and then took to the next level, is what I call the taxi to takeoff sequence. That slow, deliberate build, the rising excitement. And then that moment where the music just lifts. When suddenly, the wheels are off the ground. Here's Mozart at 23 in his Sinfonia Concertante. This version is a sextet arrangement of the full orchestral score that most of you will be familiar with, but I just discovered this one researching this video, and honestly, it's awesome.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff.
Yep, I'm dead. Now before we jump to Mendelssohn, two things to clock here. Syncopated pulse. High strings sawing away on the offbeats. Mozart loved this device. The warm subdominant hug. That soft landing chord that Mozart uses to bring us gently back to earth. If you want to learn more about the best chord in tonal harmony, the subdominant, check out this video right here. But in the meantime, enter Mendelssohn. The string octet is the crown jewel of his early works, written at 16 for 8 individual string parts, obviously. Now listen to this taxi to takeoff moment.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff. The relentless pulse, the way he stacks and layers the textures,
It's all in motion, all gears turning, all cylinders firing. And then, liftoff. I have to confess something. I love fugues. When it's fugue time in a piece, I physically lean in. Super quick fugue crash course. A fugue is kind of a musical puzzle. You start with a single melodic line, the subject. Then that idea gets passed around from part to part, all woven together in this beautiful brainy tapestry of sound. Each line or voice does its own thing, but it has to fit in and dance well with the others. The more voices in a fugue, the more complicated the game, like those crazy Rubik's cubes. It's clear that Mendelssohn's interest in FugueCraft accelerated as he was writing the string symphonies, because fugues start popping up all over the place as of number 8, and it's got 2 killer fugues. First movement. Last movement, a 5-voice fugue, likely a nod to the finale of Mozart's Jupiter Symphony, which also closes with a 5-voice fugue. Number 9. Honestly, pretty meh. I mean, it's fine and there is a fugue, but we're gonna skip it and move on to number 11. Look, when I first heard this fugue, I couldn't stop thinking about the violins from the Verve's Bittersweet Symphony. Through the magic of isolated samples, I swapped the original strings for this fugue subject, and somehow it worked.
Cause it's a bittersweet symphony that's live.
Number 12. This one's very Bach-facing, more chromatic than the others. In the final movement, which is in rondo form, you get a recurring fugue that keeps leveling up with every pass. Totally slaps. Bonus for the theory nerds. Felix scores FugueCraft triple points for using augmentation, where the fugue subject comes back with all the note values doubled. And finally, number 13, which you heard at the start of this chapter. It's also very Bach-facing, a prelude and fugue, but on steroids. By the end, he's conquering an ultimate challenge of sorts, a triple fugue, 3 discrete subjects all woven together in masterfully organized chaos. Probably because I was a bass player back in the day, whenever the celli and basses enter in furrowed brow fugues like this, in my mind, it's the entrance of the Balrog. I just scratched the surface here, but look, these need more play, especially numbers 8 through 13. Also number 2. As Mendelssohn's teenage works, they're especially great for student and community groups, as challenging as they are exhilarating to play. You'll see that when you watch the performances. Links to every one of them are in the description below. And seriously, go watch them all. Big love especially to the stunning Norwegian Chamber Orchestra, clearly deep in the early Mendelssohn when they recorded. And right next door in Sweden, a subscriber to the channel is developing a new app for classical music enthusiasts called Symphonium that will serve you up great music and history content curated just for you. Check it out on the App Store or on Google Play. If you had a good time here, smash that like button, hit subscribe, ring the bell, all the usual things, leave me comments. No one loves comment banter like I do. And if you want to support the channel, check out my fourth wall shop. The tip jar is open, or go full legend like my old friend Ross Ritchie, who picked up an annual membership. Ross, this video's for you. And thanks to my oldest friend John Campos for being better than Shazam and helping me connect Bittersweet Symphony with the nameless tune that was floating in my head. And thank you for sticking around to the end. See you next time.
Practically perfect in every way.